Think of a '49 Mercury Coupe, midnight black paint, chrome catching the streetlights, and that deep rolling rumble you can feel in your chest. It was the sound of cool, the heartbeat of hot rods, and the pride of an era. But beneath the swagger was a flaw big enough to bring this legend to its knees. Today we're lifting the hood on the Mercury Flathead V8, the engine that ruled the streets, lost its crown, and came roaring back to earn a place in automotive history. Stick around till the end. Ford's Flathead gets a big brother. To understand Mercury's masterpiece, we need to roll the clock all the way back to 1932. That's when Henry Ford dropped a bombshell on the automotive world, the Ford Flathead V8. Until that moment, the idea of a V8 under your hood was something most people could only dream about. 8-cylinder engines were exotic territory, reserved for luxury marques like Cadillac or Packard. You didn't see them at your local gas station, and you certainly didn't see them parked outside a dusty roadside diner. But the Flathead changed everything. Ford found a way to mass-produce a V8 cheaply, making that smooth, effortless power accessible to ordinary Americans for the first time. It was like handing a racehorse to a farmhand. Suddenly, the working man had muscle. Fast forward to 1939. Ford was launching a new brand, Mercury, meant to sit between the affordable Fords and the high-end Lincolns. The cars needed something extra, something that set them apart from their cheaper siblings. The answer was simple: give them more engine. And so engineers took Ford's trusty 221 cubic inch Flathead and gave it a little more of everything: a longer stroke, a bit more bore, bringing it to 239 cubic inches. On paper, it didn't seem like a giant leap. But in the real world, it was night and day. That extra displacement meant more torque, a stronger pull through the gears, and a refined smoothness that made cruising feel effortless. It gave Mercury drivers bragging rights, and it gave the brand its own identity. And Mercury didn't stop there. By 1951, the Flathead V8 had grown again to 255 cubic inches, making it one of the largest and most respected flatheads of its time. Then came the golden years, 1949 to 1951, when Mercury styling hit its stride. Chopped tops, shaved chrome, and those low nose-down stances became part of the custom car language. Hollywood embraced it in films like Rebel Without a Cause. These cars looked like they were built for trouble, and under the hood, the Mercury Flathead was ready to deliver. It wasn't just an engine anymore. It was a badge of cool, a ticket into a movement, and the start of Mercury's legend. The side valve charm. Now here's where we geek out a little. The Mercury Flathead, like Ford's, used a side valve, or L-head when designed. Instead of placing the valves above the pistons like an overhead valve, OHV engine, the Flathead positioned them in the block beside the cylinders. That's why the cylinder head is literally flat. It's just a slab of metal sealing the combustion chamber. Simple? Absolutely. Cheap to build? You bet. Easy to work on? Like taking apart a toaster. And for the late 1930s, it made perfect sense. But Mercury wanted more grunt than Ford's 221, so they slipped in a longer stroke crankshaft from 3.75 inches to a full 4 inches. That crank was instantly recognizable thanks to its dimpled counterweights. The longer stroke gave the Merc more low-end torque, making it perfect for the heavy, stylish cruisers Mercury was selling. You didn't just drive a Mercury, you floated down the road with effortless pull. Mercury also opened up the oil passages compared to Ford's design. That meant better lubrication, especially under heavy loads. And then came the magic letters, EAC. These were the heads found on early 50s Merc Flatheads, slightly reshaped to bump compression and squeeze more power from the side valve layout. In a hot rod world obsessed with squeezing every last pony from a block, EAC heads were like finding a gold watch at a garage sale. And the sound, oh, the sound. With dual exhausts and glass pack mufflers, a Mercury Flathead didn't just make noise, it sang. A mellow burble at idle, a hard-edged bark when you put your foot down, and a top-end wail that made teenagers in every small town fall in love with cars. The problems, when the heat was on. But, and this is a big but, The very thing that made the Flathead such a marvel of simplicity was also the thing that made it vulnerable. See, in most modern engines, exhaust gases take a fairly direct path out of the combustion chamber and into the exhaust manifolds. In the Flathead, those hot gases had to wind their way through passages cast inside the engine block before they could escape. That was fine when you were just cruising on a cool spring morning, but on a hot July afternoon, with the sun baking the hood and traffic barely crawling, all that heat had nowhere to go. It built up and up and up, until your temperature gauge wasn't just creeping, it was sprinting. Mercury tried to help with larger oil passages than the Ford version, but even that had limits. Push a Flathead hard, long highway runs, or repeated quarter-mile blasts, and you risked starving the bearings. Then there was the occasional head gasket failure. If that happened, you weren't limping home. You were stranded, tools out, praying you had a spare in the trunk and a friend willing to get his hands dirty. Talk to any old hot rodder and they'll have a Flathead story. One guy remembered a 1950s drag race between his 50 Mercury and a stripped-down Ford Roadster. The flag dropped. The Merc lunged forward, the torque hitting like a hammer. Halfway down the strip, he thought the wind was in the bag, until a puff of steam escaped from under the hood. Then a geyser. By the time he coasted across the line, the Roadster was already turning off the track, the driver grinning ear to ear. Overheated. Again. And then came 1955, the year that changed everything. Chevrolet unveiled its small block V8. It was lighter, it was more powerful, and it didn't have the Flathead's heat problem. Overnight, the Mercury Flathead went from hot commodity to yesterday's news. Within just a few years, it was out of production, replaced by modern overhead valve designs. The king had been dethroned, not by lack of character, but by the relentless march of technology. The Flathead strikes back. Here's the thing, hot rodders don't give up on something just because the factory does. If anything, a design's flaws just give them a new challenge to conquer. When Mercury's Flathead started showing its limits, the aftermarket stepped in like a pit crew on a mission. Companies like Edelbrock, Offenhauser, and Navarro became household names in the garage scene, offering aluminum cylinder heads with redesigned combustion chambers. These heads not only improved cooling by shedding heat faster, but also bumped up compression, squeezing more power out of each combustion stroke. Cooling, the Flathead's Achilles heel, got special attention. High-flow water pumps replaced the factory units. Bigger, more efficient radiators kept the coolant circulating, and electric fans, a rarity in the early days, became common upgrades. Hardcore builders even took to drilling extra cooling passages between the block and the heads, letting stubborn hot spots bleed off their heat before they could boil trouble. The oiling system didn't escape modification either. Full-flow oil filters, upgraded pumps, and even custom crankshaft machining gave the Flathead's bottom end a fighting chance at high RPM. Suddenly, this temperamental engine could handle the abuse that street racers and lakebed runners dished out. And some didn't just fix the Flathead, they took it to extremes. In 1959, the Beatty brothers bolted one into a purpose-built Bonneville Streamliner. On the salt, they wrung it out for all it was worth, pushing the old side valve design to an astonishing 212.26 miles per hour. Think about that. A basic valve layout first drawn up in the early 1930s, still shattering the 200 mile per hour barrier more than 20 years later. That's not nostalgia, that's engineering stubbornness at its finest. Today, the Mercury Flathead enjoys a well-earned second life. Restorers seek them out for authenticity, knowing nothing else sounds or looks quite like one. Hot rodders keep them alive for the history, the character, and the unmistakable burble. And younger builders, kids who grew up with fuel injection and aluminum heads, are rediscovering them not just as relics, but as mechanical puzzles worth solving. Because in the end, the Flathead isn't just an engine. It's proof that with enough passion, no legend ever truly dies. The collector's dream, why the Mercury Flathead V8 still holds value today. Even decades after it roared down America's highways, the Mercury Flathead V8 hasn't lost its magic. In fact, for collectors and vintage car lovers, it might be more desirable than ever. What makes it so special in today's market isn't just nostalgia, it's the perfect blend of history, mechanical charm, and cultural significance. Owning one isn't like buying any other classic engine. It's holding on to a piece of a golden era when hot rodding was born in backyard garages and dusty drag strips. Restored Flathead V8s can command impressive prices, especially if they're original spec and tied to historically significant builds. Customizers still hunt them down for their unmistakable sound, bulletproof simplicity, and the bragging rights that come with running one under the hood. And for purists, the Mercury version stands above the Ford counterpart thanks to its extra displacement and power. Small numbers on paper, but a huge difference in how it feels on the road. Then there's the community factor. Flathead owners form tight-knit networks, swapping parts, stories, and tips at car shows and online forums. For many, it's not just about owning the engine. It's about belonging to a living tradition. This mix of rarity, reputation, and raw personality is why the Mercury Flathead V8 isn't just a relic of the past, it's an investment in automotive soul with a value that's only going up. Conclusion. So here's where you come in. If someone handed you a Mercury Flathead tomorrow, greasy, maybe seized, but complete, would you rebuild it? Would you keep it bone stock for that silky, low-compression rumble? Or would you go all in? Triple carbs, aluminum heads, big cam, and a cooling system that laughs at 100-degree days? We want to hear your Flathead stories. Was it your dad's pride and joy? The one that got away? Or maybe it's sitting in your garage right now, waiting for a second chance? Drop it in the comments. If you love this dive into the Mercury Flathead V8, hit that like button so more gearheads can find it. Subscribe for more deep dives into the legends of motoring history, and stick around for our next episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Because in the end, the Mercury Flathead V8 wasn't just an engine. It was a character in America's car story. Stubborn, flawed, but unforgettable. And that, my friends, is the kind of heart you just can't manufacture anymore.